Okay, so then carrying on this wonderful story, I missed one friend that I spent a lot of time with, and that was Ray Sneed. And Ray and I did spend quite a bit of time together, uh, and most of it related to our working world and our social world, because some or other he wasn't in on some of our dance activities. But in the summer months, I was supposed to be working, so I thought that working for my uncle on the farm doing the haying was probably not a bad idea. So it was Ray and I worked up there on the haying, and there was a fair amount of hay on the properties that my uncle had, so it was a fair job. And the way they hay now, they send out big equipment and they make brown bales or square bales and lift them all up on hydraulics and put them wherever they want to put them. In those days, it was a long, drawn-out job, and it was so dependent on the weather that it really was a different world. So, first of all, if we were ready to go to do the harvesting, they had to cut the hay with one of the little scissor saws that went off the side and were towed around behind the tractor. And so you finally got it cut, and then after it had dried for a day or two, you had to go over it all with a tedder, which was pitchforks on a machine that kept kicking, and in effect you covered it again and it would tip it all over so it would dry better on the other side, air it out. So after you did that and let it sit for a day or two, then we had to go around with a side delivery rake. And this was another rake that you dragged behind the tractor. It was instead of pulling straight ahead like a rake, and they had buck rakes which would do that, and you kick it and the rake would go up and it would have a pile of hay. But they used the side delivery rake, and so it would go along and take the hay and put it all into a windrow. And so, are we on focus here?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So after it was in a windrow, and hoping during all this time that it didn't have any rainstorms that set you back, then they had you have the tractor, the wagon, and towed behind that a conveyor belt that would pick up the hay, take it up onto the top of the wagon and beyond, and drop it. So then the hay would come down, and Ray and I would be trying to move it around and spread it out or whatever else we did. And that thing, if it was a heavy load of hay, it would just bury you. The hay would come up so fast. And one occasion that we were going, I got the load totally filled. It was overloaded, I think. And we were going up the road by the field up above us here now. And when we got to the intersection as to turn left to go back out to the highway, we would turn right and go up to the old barn. And in the process of going around that corner on one occasion, the whole load tipped over.
Oh, no.
And Ray and I were underneath a part of it.
Oh, dear.
Fortunately not dead center, but we were under part of it. And I can still hear my uncle shouting and screaming. He jumped off to come around to see whether it was the end of us or not. But we managed to wiggle out all right. So then after you got up to the barn with this load of hay, you still had to get it off the wagon and up into the barn. And so there was a hay fork that would run on a pulley and hook up to the tractor. And so you would stick this thing into the hay and the tongs would grab, and then the tractor would pull this up across and release. And we did that until all the hay was in the barn and go back and get some more. So that was our summer job. There were other things, but that was the main focus of working, and it was great for us. But then at the end of the day, unless it was a terrible day, I would come home, grab a sandwich or something, and get in the boat and go over to our Penn Lake golf course. And this would be around 6 o'clock or so, 6 or 7 o'clock. And I would play 9 holes of golf, and it was a pretty good lifestyle. I enjoyed that, yeah.
Was there a clubhouse there?
Yes, there was, but it wasn't manned or anything. It was only, there was a building with a few lockers in it where people that were members might keep their shoes and golf clubs. But there was a pavilion there, and I forgot to mention that was one of the main dance places that we used to have every Saturday night. There was a dance at the Penn Lake Golf Club. I missed that on my list of places where we would go dancing, and so that was fun. But the facilities there, like, there wasn't a bar. You couldn't go in and have a beer after you played golf like we do everywhere now. So it was a dance hall, and that's where the Penn Lake Association always held their annual meetings at that location. And I'm sure there were other things as well, but those were the main ones. So, where do we go?
All right.
It's a puzzle.
Sorry.